Hello, class. Welcome again to our Computer Programming 2, Java Programming. Today we will discuss the third part of my lesson or our lesson for Chapter 2, Basic Elements of Java. Our Lesson 3 is entitled Creating a Java Application Program. What are our lesson objectives? First, to discover how to create a Java application program. And second, explore how to properly structure a program, including using comments to document a program. In our previous lessons, yung lesson 1 and 2, we learned about Java concepts to write meaningful programs. But in this lesson, which is our last part of Chapter 2, we will learn how to create a complete Java application program. Now, before we proceed with the Java application programming, let us discuss first the different terminologies that we will be using during our discussion. First term is class. What is class? Class is the basic unit of a Java program. Therefore, a Java application program is a collection of one or more classes. Class is also considered a collection of methods and data members because within a class, we have several methods, one or more methods, and one or more data members. What is a method? A method is a set of instructions designed to accomplish a specific task. Some predefined or standard methods such as next int, print, and println are already written and are provided as part of the system. All Java application programs must contain one class that has the method called main. Placement or positioning of Java statements. The following statements are to be placed within the class. Statements to declare memory spaces like named constants and variables. Statements to create input stream objects. Statements to manipulate data such as assignments. Statements to input and output data. What are the statements to be placed within the method main? We have statements to declare variables. So, yung mga variable declarations must be within the method main. Statements to manipulate data, or what we call the programming instructions. And the input and output statements. What statements are to be placed outside the method main? When we say outside the method main, of course, it is inside the class. Okay? Statements to declare named constants and input stream objects. The class and the method main. Here are the syntax of a class and the syntax of the main method. For the syntax of a class, we write it the word public space class space and then the class name. Take note, public and class should be written in lowercase letters. And the class name is written in camel case. And the very first letter of your class name must be in uppercase. So we write this as your introduction and then the open curly brace to indicate the start of the block, and then the members of the class, and then the close curly brace. That's it. That's the syntax for a class. On the other hand, the syntax of the main method is as follows. you will write the words public, space, static, space, void, space, main, all in lowercase letters. And then, open parenthesis, string with a capital S, braces, also brackets, a pair of brackets, and then ARGS, close parenthesis. And then the open curly brace for the start of your main block. And then you'll give your statements here before closing it with a close curly brace. That is the syntax of the main method. What are the different parts of a Java application program? A Java application program might be using the resources provided by the IDE, such as the necessary code to input data which require your program to import certain packages. You can therefore divide the Java application program into two parts, the import statements and the program itself. The import statements tell the compiler which packages are needed by the program. The program contains statements placed in a class that accomplish some meaningful results. So, nasa unang-una niya yung import statement, and then after that, yung class. Nandun ngayon yung pinakang program, yung pinakang Java program mo. And then together, the import statements and the program statements constitute the Java source code, which is your full or your whole program, Java application program. Now, what is a source code and what is a source file? Source code is the import statements plus the program statements. Yung buong ginawa mong program, that's called a source code. Okay? Yung ginawa ng programmer. Lahat yun, nandun yung import statements, yung class naming, andun yung program statements. Now, yung source file, on the other hand, is the saved file that contains the source code. So, if you will save the source code in, of course, yung pangalan ng inyong source file ay yung pangalan din ng class. Lalagyan nyo lang ng dugtong na .java. So, yun po, yung may .java, yun ang tinatawag nating source file. Yung laman ng source file, yun yung ating source code. Okay po? Note, the name of the file or the source file is the same as the name of the class minus the .java extension, katulad ng nabanggit ko kanina. What are the different basic parts of the method main? Dalawa po yan, the heading and the body. The heading is the first line of the method main, while the body is the statements between the braces of the method main. So, ito po, ito yung heading. Ayan, ilagyan ko ng caption. And then, actually po, yung bilog na yan, ako lang, ibig ko lang sabihin yan yung heading. Pero wala po siyang line na ganyan. And then, open curly brace, and then yung mga statements. Of course, naka-indent yan. Pantay-pantay sa indentation niya. Ito pong nasa gitna, nasa pagitan ng dalawang curly braces. Yan pong tinatawag nating body of the method main. Take note nga po pala, naka-shade siya. Ibig sabihin po, optional po yung content. Pwedeng may laman, pwedeng wala. Pwedeng open curly brace and then close curly brace. That's it. Two types of statements in the method main. We have the declaration statements and the executable statements. From the word itself, declaration statements are used to declare things such as variables. Ibig sabihin, pinipresent mo pa lang, pinakikilala. Yun yung sinasabi nating declaration statements. Ipinakikilala mo pa lang yung mga variables mo and constants mo. Paano po yun? Sasabihin mo kung ano yung data type nila at kung ano yung bibigay mo sa kanilang identifier. That's the declaration statements. Ano naman po yung executable statements? It performs calculations, manipulate data, create output, accept input, and so on. Ang example naman po nito yung system.out.print. Tapos, open parenthesis, yung string sa loob, close parenthesis, semicolon. Yun po ang tinatawag nating executable statements. Bakit po? Kasi nagpe-perform siya ng calculations, o kaya nagke-create siya ng output, o kaya nag-a-accept siya ng input. Normally, yung executable statements, nasa ibabaya ng declaration statements. Nauuna pong isulat ang declaration statements bago ang executable statements. Otherwise, mag-e-error po ang inyong program pag kinompile. Note, variables or identifiers can be declared anywhere within a method, but they must be declared before they can be used. Kaya po sabi ko, declaration statements goes first or comes first before the executable statements. Okay? These are examples of declaration statements. Ito, yung int, ibig sabihin, di ba, data type niya yan, space, yung identifier ng variable mo, then semicolon. Itong buong to, this is one declaration statement. This is another declaration statement. This is another declaration statement. Ito din, isang declaration statement. Ibig sabihin, meron kang isang variable na ang pangalan ay name or ang identifier ay name at ang klase niya is string. Okay po, or ang tipo or ang classification is string. Yan po ang declaration statement. Here are examples of executable statements. Suppose that num1 and num2 are int variables. Num1 equals 4. This is an assignment statement because we assign the value for the variable num1. Next, num2 equals console.nextInt, open and close parenthesis, semicolon. This is an input statement and assignment statement. Third line, system.out.println, open parenthesis, num1 plus space plus num2, close parenthesis, semicolon. This is an output statement. Now let's go to the format of a Java application program. In skeleton form, a Java application program looks like the following. The first line is the import statement, if there's any. And then the public class name. And then of course, don't forget the open curly brace. Then the named constants, if there are any, or stream objects declarations. Then the method main, and then the opening curly brace for your method, and then the variable declaration and the statements, and then the close curly brace for the method, and then the close curly brace for the class. Let's have some sample Java application program for using this format. Notice that the heading of the method main contains the reserved word static. The statements to declare the named constants and the input stream objects are placed outside the definition of the method main. Therefore, to use these named constants and stream objects in the method main, Java requires that you declare the named constants and the input stream objects with the reserved word static. Let's consider example 2-26. In this Java application program, the first part is the comment. Okay, and then we start with the import statement. Why do we have to include an import statement? Because we need to import a certain package called the java.util. Why do we need this? Because we will be using the class scanner. Okay. Where do we use the class scanner? When we need to read or input a certain data. Input coming from the user of the program. Okay, so isa-isahin natin ulit. We will start with the import statement. So sabi dito import, tapos itong package na to, kinocall niya, java.util asterisk semicolon, and then public class, the class name, which is first Java program. Take note again, uppercase ang very first letter, and then naka-camel case yung buong name. Open curly brace para i-signify na nag-start na tayo. And then, dito nilalagay natin static, final, int number equals 12, semicolon. Ano yung number? This is the identifier for a constant. Now, kaya all caps or uppercase letters lahat ng ginamit for its identifier. That means this is a constant. Ngayon, bakit nandito lang siya sa loob ng class body at wala siya sa loob ng main method, sa body ng main method? Doon po sa binasa natin kanina, kung maalala ninyo, andyan. The statements to declare the named constants and the input stream objects are placed outside the definition of the method main. Kaya po, sa labas siya. So, ito yung method main natin. Nasa labas yung declaration ng constant. Sa labas po nilalagay, hindi sa loob. So, included siya sa loob ng class, pero hindi siya included sa loob ng main method. Okay? Therefore, to use these named constants and stream objects in the method main, Java requires that you declare the named constants and the input stream objects with the reserved word static. Pansinin po natin kung may static dito. Ayun po, static final int number. Static scanner console, etc. Para po magamit natin yung ating constant dito sa executable statements natin inside or within the method main, dapat meron tayo niyang static na word. And then, ito naman po, para saan naman po to? Static scanner console equals new scanner, open and close parenthesis, system.in. Ito po ay para makapag-read naman tayo or input. Magkaroon tayo ng input statement. Otherwise, hindi ko consider ng Java kung wala tayo nito. Ngayon, i-consider ba basta-basta kung meron tayo nito? Hindi rin po. Kailangan meron tayong kinocall or ini-input na package called the java.util. Kaya po nilagay natin dito. Parang kinocall nyo yung package na java.util or import. Ini-import ninyo. Salamat po. And then, so yun po, kaya dineclare muna natin lahat dito. This is the declaration of our declaration, and at the same time, ay initialization na rin ng value. Declaration of the data type and the value of the constant. Hindi pala initialization kasi initial pag nagbabago yung value. So, that's for variables. Pagka po constant, hindi initialization ng tawag, basta declaration of the value lang. Okay po? And then, eto na po yung heading ng ating method main. Susunod doon, curly brace. Tapos, ito na yung body ng ating method main. Nandiyan po, dinideclare naman sa first part. Bago natin gamitin yung mga variables, i-declare po natin at saka i-initialize. So, dito, dineclare niya yung first num at saka second num as integers. And then, inintroduce niya yung first value ng first num, which is 18. Pwede magbago to dahil variable ito. Tapos, ipinakita niya dito, pinresent niya sa monitor kung ano yung first number. Sabi po dito, system.out.println, open parenthesis, yung meron tayo ditong string. Ibig sabihin yan mismo, as is, per se, ang lalabas sa ating monitor. Line 11, colon, first num equals, yung space, tsaka niya ngayon dudugtong, i-concatenate yung value ng first num. Ang given natin value dito, ilan? 18. So, dapat lalabas dyan. Line 11, colon, first num equals 18. Dapat yun ang lalabas. Next statement po natin, system.out.print. May string naman po tayo, line 12, colon, enter an integer, colon. Para saan po ito? Sabi, sa second num. Tingnan ulit natin yung second num natin. Ang second num is also an integer, so kailangan nang i-enter nating value ay integer. Ngayon, wala siyang initial value na binigay. Therefore, since meron naman tayong static scanner console, yan, yung system.in, ibig sabihin, we are allowed to take entry or the program is allowed to accept input from the user. So, ito na tayo. Second num equals console.next int, open and close parenthesis. So, sabi dito, system.out.println, open and close parenthesis, semicolon. Kung ano yung value, ibibigay niya. So, line 12, dapat ang lalabas dyan, line 12, colon, enter an integer, colon, tapos, may space, tapos, hihingi siya sa inyo ng value. Okay? Ang makikita lang natin doon sa after nun, yung paghingi niya ng value. And then, pag tinype mo po yung kung ano mang value, lalabas naman, ito, system.out.println, yung line 15, colon, second num, equals. Ayan na. Ilalagay niya, dudugtong niya dito, or i-concatenate niya yung value ng second num na in-input ng user. Okay, first num equals first num plus number plus 2 times second num. Ito naman po another executable statement. Bibigyan natin ng value yung first num, a new value, or i-update natin yung value niya. Ang value niya po is value ng first value ng first num, yung initial natin na 18, plus yung constant na number which is 12, plus 2 times value ng second num. The second num is whatever it will be typed or input or keyed in by the user. And then, sabihin niya, syempre unahin po natin to multiplication bago natin i-add dun sa dalawa. Then, system.out.println, open parenthesis, yung string na line 17 colon, the new value of, di ba, may close quotes na yan, pero pinlas niya another string. So, ibig sabihin, dire-diretso lang po yan. Line 17 colon, the new value of first num equals. Tapos, saka natin ilagay kung ano yung new value ng first num, which is yung sagot dito. Let's see. Oops, huwag natin kalimutan. Close curly brace. Ito kapartner nung para sa method main. Ito yung kapartner para sa class. Okay po? Okay, pag kinompile natin at nirun ang program na ginawa natin, ito po siyang lalabas sa screen ninyo. Unang lalabas, line 11, colon, first num equals 18. Automatic yan. Susunod, lalabas, line 12, colon, enter an integer, colon. And then, hihinto siya dahil dito po sa statement na ito, hihinto. Bakit hihinto yung computer? Para po, i-ano nyo, i-enter kung ano man yung number na gusto ninyo. So, ayan. Next, pagka na-enter nyo na, a-accept niya na yon. Tapos sabi, line 15, dito na po tayo. Ito po ang lalabas. Line 15, colon, second num equals, kung ano yung na-read niya dito. In-input nyo. And then, susunod, i-compute niya yung new value ng first num at lalabas sa screen mo, system, okay, line 17, ayan, line 17, the new value of first num equals, kung ano yung magiging sagot dito. Since 15 yung ating second num, so 15 times 2, that's 30. Plus yung number, that's 12. Plus yung first value ng first num, which is 18. 18 plus 12 is 30. Plus, itong sagot nito is 30. So, that's equivalent to 60. Okay? Gusto nyo pong titigan yung program, okay lang. Tingnan nyo mabuti. Okay po. Let's go to the next slide. Debugging, understanding and fixing syntax errors. Hindi ko na po dinefine dito yung debugging kasi yan na mismo yung definition ng debugging. Understanding and fixing syntax errors or looking for or tag dito. Ang debugging is yung paghahanap at pagtatama ng mga errors. Normally, syntax errors. When you type a program, typos and unintentional syntax errors are likely to occur. Therefore, when you compile a program, the compiler will identify the syntax error. Let us now consider the following Java program. Of course, we will start with the import statement, since we will be using later on an input statement. So we need this. We will be importing the package java.util to be able to use an input or read statement. And then after that, here is now the heading of our class, and we will be identifying the class as program num1. And of course, the start of the class. The open curly brace signifies the start of the class. Okay, within the class, we have here the static scanner console equals new scanner, open and close parenthesis system.in, semicolon. This is a declaration that we will be using an input or read statement so that it will allow us, the program will allow us to input or to have a read statement. Next, here is our heading for the method main. After the heading, itong curly brace which signifies the start again of the statements inside the method main. Of course, we'll start with the variable declaration. We will declare the variable num. Sabihin natin kung ano yung data type niya, int. yung kanyang identifier or yung name, num. Tapos, next line, yung num na variable, i-initialize naman natin. We will give the initial value. Now, take note, na-discuss natin last time that pwede naman siyang isang line na lang. Pagsamahin mo yung declaration at saka initialization. So, pwedeng int num equals 18 semicolon. Please don't forget the semicolon. And the next line, temp num. This is the declaration naman of another variable. This time, yung variable na temp num is a product of 2 and the variable num. So, actually, this is already an executable statement, not just a declaration statement. Kasi pwede na tayong mag-execute or mag-multiply, mag-divide, magkaroon ng arithmetic expressions. Now, temp num daw equals 2 times the value of num. Of course, may semicolon, end of, to terminate the statement. And lastly, we have this statement system that out, this is our output statement, that print ln. Open parenthesis, we have here a string, sabi dito num equals space, tapos plus yung value ng num, which is 18 of course, plus another string, dudugtong, parang num equals yung value ng num, plus yung string na comma, space, temp num equals space, tapos bakit minus temp num? Okay, we will just later on titingnan natin tama ba ito or mali, and then close parenthesis, and then yung terminator natin, which is the semicolon. Okay, and then yung terminator natin, kung meron tayo ditong signifies the start, dapat may mag-signify na end na yung ating program. So, nag-end na yung ating program para sa main method. Sa nangkarugtong, wala na yata. Okay? Ito ang example natin ng isang Java program. When you compile the program from the preceding slide, yung pinakita kong program, the compiler produces the following errors. Ito yung makikita nyo ngayon sa screen nyo pag compile nyo. Ito yung report ng compiler sa inyo. Program num.java, colon 9, colon, tapos merong close quotes, single quotes, enclose sa single quotes yung semicolon, expected int num, tapos merong, anong tawag dyan? Parang insert symbol, caret, the caret. Tapos second line, program num.java, colon 16, colon, reached end of file while parsing, close curly brace, and then meron na namang caret. Tapos, sa third line, nakalagay 2 errors. So, dalawa daw ang errors mo. Analyze natin isa-isa. Ano ibig sabihin yan? First, the expression program num.java 9, colon 9, indicates that there is error in line 9. Titignan natin later. Ano yung nasa line 9? The remaining error indicates that semicolon is expected. Sabi, line 9 daw, tapos expected niya na merong semicolon. The next line indicates that there is a missing semicolon at the end of the statement int num. So, after daw ng int num, kaya merong caret, ibig sabihin insert. Dapat may semicolon. Therefore, we must insert at the end of the statement in line 9. We must insert semicolon at the end of the statement in line 9. Tingnan po natin ulit. Line 9. Dito daw yung error. int num, may expected daw na semicolon. Dapat lahat daw ng statements may semicolon. This is a declaration statement, so dapat may semicolon at the end. Saan daw yung kulang? Tingnan ulit natin. Saan daw may kulang? After ng int num, dapat dun daw nakaposition. Kaya may caret doon. Ibig sabihin, insert the expected semicolon. Kaya dapat after ng 9, ng int num, doon may semicolon. Tama nga naman, nawawala. To continue, diba sabi in line 9. Consider the second error. Nakalagay, program num.java, 16, reached end of file while parsing. Ano ibig sabihin? This error occurs in line 16 and it specifies that the end of the file is reached. This error is not very clear at this point. However, if you look at the source code, you will realize that there is a missing close curly brace, which should match the open curly brace at line 4. Take note again, if you could still remember, that every open curly brace must have a matching close curly brace. O, tingnan natin ulit kung wala nga. Ayun, wala nga. Ito, merong ka-partner, pero ito, wala. So, error siya. Hindi siya tatanggapin ng Java. Hindi mako-compile. Okay? O, itama na po natin yan. Tingnan natin. Correcting the errors and renaming the program as program num2.java, the program looks like the one below. Again, ulit-ulit lang natin lahat. Import java.util and then public class. This time, ang identifier ng class natin is program num2. Bakit hindi num1 ulit ang ginamit nating name? Kasi maganda na na-identify mo about program na ginagawa mo kung may mali yung first program at itatama mo or i-correct mo lang mga errors, maganda na meron ka pa ring reference. So, wag natin galawin yung original. Kahit sa anong file natin, ganun din gagawin natin. Kung may mali, wag nyo burahin agad yung original at wag nyo rin papatungan. Okay, wag nyo papalitan. Gawin nyo, gawa kayo ng bagong file na parang isi-save nyo siya into another file, tsaka nyo siya ipag-edit para mas-save siya sa another file. Yung original file mo, nandun pa rin, intact pa rin for reference purposes. Baka kasi mamaya yung pagko-correct mo, mali rin. Okay po? So, public class program num2 na ang pangalan nating class, program num2. And then, eto na, yung ating start symbol. And then, declaration ng console natin or calling of the scanner console. And then, heading na naman ng method main. And then, start na naman, start symbol para sa ating method main program. And then, declaration, lagyan na natin ng semicolon. And then, initialization, okay naman ang initialization ng num. And then, temp num equals 2 times num, semicolon. And then, type na natin ulit yung kanina. As is. Wala naman tayong baguhin. Actually, hindi na natin ito type ko. Copyin lang natin yung num1. Tapos, yan na natin. Tapos, may closing na tayo ng para sa main, sa method natin. And then, closing na ng buong program. Tingnan natin. Compile again. When you compile the program, it will generate the following errors. Hindi pa rin siya tama. Anong kulang? Let's see. Program num2.java 13. Cannot find symbol. O, line 13 daw. Symbol, variable, temp num. Oh. And then location, class program num2. Temp num equals 2 times num semicolon. Okay. And then, eto pa, program num2.java, 15, cannot find symbol. symbol colon variable temp num, location colon class program num2, system.out.println, and then num equals plus num plus, okay, yun na yun pa rin. Tapos meron siyang tinuturo, may caret tayo sa letter T, below letter T, semicolon, end na. Sabi 2 errors. Ano kaya yung dalawang errors na yon? Analyze natin yung sinabi. The first error is in line 13 and it specifies that a symbol cannot be found. May nahanap doon na symbol ang ating compiler. The next line indicates that the symbol is the variable temp num. If you look at the program, we find that the variable temp num is not declared. So we must declare it. The next error is in line 15 and it also specifies that the variable temp num cannot be found. So, pag tinama natin, tingnan muna natin ulit yung original. Ay, dito na pala sa tinama na natin. Kasi program num2 na. So, ito yung program num2 sa line 15 daw. Oops. Line 13 pala muna. Sa line 13, may kulang daw. Ibig sabihin, ayaw niyang i-recognize. Hindi niya nare-recognize yung temp num. Ano yan? Sabi niya, ano yan? Anong gagawin nating sagot dyan? 2 times num, ano ba? Anong data type? Di po ba? Sino ba tong temp num na to na basta nilang pumapasok sa program na to? So, kailangan i-declare muna natin. Ano ba ang nakalimutan natin kanina i-declare? Dapat meron ditong declaration. Int num, tapos yung temp num natin, baka naman int temp num. O kaya, kung gusto nyo naman, double temp num. Depende po sa inyo. Okay? Pag double, kailangan magiging double din yung value natin. Okay? The next line indicates that the symbol in that variable temp num, if we look at the program, we find that the variable temp num is not declared, so we must declare it. Tapos, the next error is in line 15, and it also specifies that the variable temp num cannot be found. So, talagang hindi niya kilala yung temp num. So, correcting it by, let's correct it using or by declaring the variable temp num. Okay? Ano na ulit? Baguhin na natin ulit ang class name natin. Gawin natin program num3. So, import java.util, **, etc. Ito na, public class program num3. Tignan na natin, as is. Ito na, dineclare na natin with semicolon. Wala na bang mali? Tingin ninyo, meron na tayong kapartner ang bawat braces natin. Ang bawat brace. Ano pa kayang mali? Tignan natin kung meron pa. Let's compile again. And run. When this program is compiled, it generates the following error. Program num3.java:16 operator minus cannot be applied to java.lang. String. int system. String int. System.out.println. Ito, may mali dito. Ayan, pinapakita niya. May caret, may pointer. 1 error. Yun na lang daw ang error. Sa syntax ito, ha. May ibang klase pa tayo ng error. It specifies that the error is in line 16 and it indicates that the operator minus cannot be applied to strings. Recall that to join two strings, we use the operator plus or positive. So, in line 16, we must replace the minus sign with a plus sign at the place indicated by the caret. So, let's correct again our program and name it program num4. Pare-pareho na ng laman except for, lalagay na natin instead of minus, plus na. So, ano na? When we compile this program, the compiler will not generate any syntax errors, and it will create the file program num4 point class, which can be executed using the appropriate Java command. When we execute this program, it will generate the following output: num equals 18, temp num equals 36. Okay po? Do you understand? Next, programming style and form. Okay, ang coverage, syntax, the use of blanks, the use of semicolons, brackets, and commas, semantics, prompt lines, documentation, including comments, and naming identifiers, and form and style. So let's start with the programming style and form. And let's start with the syntax. What is a syntax? Syntax are rules of a language that tells what is legal and what is illegal. Para rin yang parang sa atin, sa language natin ng tao, may mga rules ng grammar. Iba ang rules ng grammar ng English language, iba sa Filipino language, iba sa French. So may kani-kaniyang, bawat programming language may kani-kaniyang syntax. Pag hindi mo sinunod ang syntax na yon, hindi ka maiintindihan ng compiler. Thus, hindi mararun ang iyong program. Okay? Errors in syntax are detected during compilation. So, once na kinumpile mo, nakikita agad yun ng compiler. Yung tinatawag nating syntax error. Let's consider the following Java statements. int space x, semicolon, for line 1, int y, double z, semicolon, and then sabi y equals w plus x, semicolon. Dito, kitang-kita na kagad ninyo yung int y, walang semicolon. O, alam nyo na kung anong error nito. When these statements are compiled, a compilation error will occur at line 2. So, line 2. Because there is no semicolon after the declaration of the variable y. A second compilation error will occur at line 4. Kasi ginamit natin dun yung y. Because the identifier, W. Wala nga pala tayong W. Identifier W is used but has not been declared. If W has been declared and X has not been properly initialized, then a syntax error will occur at line 4. So, wala tayong W nga pala. Inantok na yata ako, hindi ko nakitang W yon. Akala ko Z. Okay po? So, dalawang error natin. Isa, walang semicolon. Yung isa naman, meron siyang ginamit na variable name na wala naman dito sa dinedeclare niya. Hindi niya pinakilala, bigla na lang pumasok. Gate crasher sa party. Use of blanks. Use one or more blanks to separate numbers when data is input. Blanks are also used to separate reserved words and identifiers from each other and from other symbols. Blanks must never appear within a reserved word or identifier. So, kapag identifier, dapat dire-diretso, no blanks. Ganun din pag reserved word. Okay, tandaan po yan. Use of semicolons, braces, and commas. Semicolons, in Java, a semicolon is used to terminate a statement. Laging yan ang nakakalimutan, pero very basic yan. The semicolon is also called a statement terminator. Kaya naririnig nyo lagi sa akin, terminator. Braces. Braces, ito po, itsura, are not Java statements, even though they often appear on a line with no other code. You might regard braces as delimiters because they enclose the body of a method and set it off from other parts of the program. So, hindi siya part ng program pero importante siya kasi pag wala siya, hindi mako-compile ang iyong program. Commas. Commas are used to separate items in a list. For example, you use commas when you declare more than one variable following a data type. Next is semantics. Semantics is the set of rules that gives meaning to a language. Example of a semantic rule is the order of precedence rules for arithmetic operators. If a program contains syntax errors, the compiler will warn you. But it is possible to eradicate all syntax errors in a program and still not have it run. And if it runs, it may not do what you meant it to do. It is more likely that the compiler will only see the syntax error. Pero yung semantics, pwede kasing tama ang semantics mo, tama ang syntax mo, pero mali yung semantics mo. Ito po yung example. Okay? 2 plus 3 times 5 at saka 2 plus 3 times 5 are both syntactically correct, pero semantically wrong. Bakit po? Kasi 2 plus 3 times 5 is not the same as quantity 2 plus 3, close quantity, times 5. Iba po ang value niyan. This one has a value 15 plus 2, so that's 17. This one here is 5 times 5, 25. So magkaiba po sila. Prompt lines. Part of good documentation is the use of clearly written prompts so that users will know what to do when they interact with a program. Prompt lines are executable statements that inform the user what to do. Examples: consider the following Java statements in which num is an int variable. Ito nakalagay dito, kunwari, system.out.println. Open parenthesis, yung string na please enter a number between 1 and 10 and close quotes plus another string, then press enter. Close quotes and then close parenthesis, semicolon. Num equals console.next int, open and close parenthesis, semicolon. When the two statements execute in the order given, the output statement causes the following line of text to appear on the screen. Please enter a number between 1 and 10 and then press enter. Nakuha niyo po ba? Anong sabi dun sa line na yun? Please enter a number between 1 and 10 and then press enter. After seeing this prompt line, users know that they must enter a number and press the enter key. If the program contained only the second statement, users would not know that they must enter a number, and the computer would wait indefinitely for the input. In a program, whenever users must provide input, you should include the necessary prompt lines. The prompt line should include sufficient information about what input is acceptable. For example, the preceding prompt line not only tells the user to input a number, but also informs the user that the number should be between 1 and 10. So the prompt line that we used here is a very good prompt line. Tingnan ulit natin po. Kalagay, please enter a number between 1 and 10 and then press enter. So, ang prompt line po ninyo, nag-specify siya kung anong number. Unang sinabi niya sa inyo sa prompt na kailangan mo mag-enter ng number, and then, second, binigyan kanya ng tip na ang dapat mong i-enter is between 1 and 10. At pag nakapag-enter ka na, dapat ng number, i-press mo yung enter key sa keyboard. So, kumpleto po, hindi malilito ang ating user. Next, form and style. Consider the following two ways of declaring variables. Int feet, semicolon, int inch, semicolon, double x, semicolon, double y, semicolon. Okay, ito po yung karaniwan nating nakikita. Paano po itong isa? Int feet, semicolon, dire-diretso, ganun din, pero isang line lang. Walang space yung isa. Unlike do sa iba, syempre pag enter mo, may understood parang may space. Pareho lang ba siya? Maiintindihan po ba siya ng ating compiler? Okay, ang sabi dito, the computer has no difficulty understanding either of these formats. But the first form is easier for a person to read and follow. So, kung ganito yung inyong program o yung declaration of variable nyo, paano kapag nagkaroon po tayo ng error sa compiling, di magde-debug ka. Pag nag-debug ka, ang hirap maghanap. Samantalang ito, maayos, madali mong hanapin. At madali ding maire-report sa'yo ng compiler kung saang line merong error. Kapag line, halimbawa, line 1 to, line 1. Ito lang makikita mo sa line 1. Unlike this, pag sinabing line 1 yan, hahanapin mo pa rin sa pagkahaba-haba na yan kung nasan yung error. Consider the following two statements. Int space A, semicolon, tapos int, maraming spaces A, semicolon. Tanggap ba siya ng compiler? Both of these declarations mean the same thing. Here, the extra blanks between the identifiers in the second statement are meaningless. So, whether ganito ang ilagay mo or ganito, pareho lang po. As long as meron silang space. Kasi iba yung int, iba yung kung magdudugtong sila na inta. Iba na po yun. Wala po tayong ganong keyword. Wala tayong INTA na keyword. So, dapat may space para INT lang. Pero kung ilang spaces between your variable identifier and your data type, yung keyword mo, wala pong problema. Kaya lang, syempre, mas maayos kung isang space lang ang ilalagay mo. Ayun. Sabi, on the other hand, consider the following statement, inta. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na walang space between int tsaka a. This statement contains a syntax error. The lack of a blank between the t in int and the identifier a changes the reserved word int and the identifier a into a new identifier inta na hindi naman ina-accept ng Java. Example for forms and styles. Consider the following Java program. Sabi, an improperly formatted Java program. So, we'll start with the import statement and then heading ng class. Tapos, symbol for the start of the class, of the program. Okay, declaration dito or static scanner. Dinideclare na gagamit tayo ng input, ng read statement or input statement. And then, ito na yung heading ng ating main method. Tapos, start na ng ating main method. Okay, tingnan po ninyo, hindi naka-indent ha. Diba sabi ko sa inyo, dapat indented. Tulad nito, pag start nito, nag-indent. Paano to? Hindi na naka-indent. Hindi na rin naka-indent. Okay, pwede ba o hindi? Okay, tingnan po natin. Tapos, yung ating mga variables, yung declaration of variables, dire-diretso lang. Basta meron lang silang terminator. Tama naman po ito, may terminator. Understood, ibang statement na to. Ito, variable declaration, iba na dito. Pero isa lang line sila inilagay. Okay. Tingnan na po natin kapag ni-run. So, the given program is syntactically correct but is difficult for a human to read. To improve the program, use proper indentions and formattings. To document the variables, declare one variable per line para mas madali makita. Always put a space before and after an operator as shown in the preceding Java program. Okay? Properly formatted Java program. Ito na po yung ating import statement and then heading ng ating class. Tapos, start na ng class. Naka-indent yung static, scanner, console, etc. etc. Nag-semicolon, tama. Tapos, start na ng heading ng ating main method. Tingnan nyo po, naka-align na siya. Indented sila pareho. One indent, one indent, one indent. Ito na po yung symbol that signifies the start of our program for the main method, inside the main method. Tapos, ito, declaration of variable 1, declaration of variable 2, tapos, declaration ng string. Tapos, i-align. Mas madali pong tingnan, di po ba? Yan. Anong pinapatingnan sa atin? Alignment. Okay, mas madali pong makita. Tapos, kung naka-indent yung mga end or close curly braces, alam nyo kung kanino siya kapartner. Ito yung kapartner ng sa main method. Ito yung sa kapartner ng class. Avoiding bugs, consistent, proper formatting, and code walkthrough. Ano po itong mga ito? Pag sinabing avoiding bugs, iniiwasan po natin yung mga errors. Java is a free format language in the sense that programming instructions need not be typed in specific columns. As you will discover, consistent and proper formatting will make it easier to develop, debug, and maintain programs. Consistent and predictable use of blanks, tabs, and new line characters to separate the elements of a program is very helpful. When you write programs, unintentional typos and errors are unavoidable. The Java compiler will find the syntax rules and give some hints how to correct them. However, the compiler may not find logical semantic errors. Ano pong sabi? Unang sabi po, ang Java, pwedeng tumanggap siya kahit hindi naka-aligned, hindi naka-indent. Basta tama ang syntax, okay lang, tatanggapin niya. Kaya lang, kapag nga gusto nyo mag-debug o kaya i-maintain, babago-baguhin yung programs, later on, i-update, may hirapan ka kung hindi properly formatted yung iyong program. Although hindi nagre-require si Java na properly formatted yung iyong program, mas makatutulong iyon sa programmer para sa pagde-debug niya at sa pag-maintain niya ng program kung properly formatted ang kanyang programs. Ganun din kung may ibang programmer, halimbawa nawala ka na sa company tapos kailangan nilang i-maintain or i-debug yung program mo, madadalian na silang hanapin yung mga problem areas kasi pwede na nilang hanapin, mas madaling tingnan. Okay po? Mas madaling basahin ng isang tao yung program. Okay? Sabi din dito, unintentional typos and errors are unavoidable. So, hindi natin masasabi agad na perfect na kaagad yung ating program. Kaya mas nakakatulong kung tama yung pag-format natin. Kung may sinusunod tayong formatting, katulad nga nung sabi ko, kada opening curly brace, after every open curly brace, i-indent nyo. Para alam nyo kung anong part na yun, yung ba sa class, yung ba sa method main, o sa ibang methods pa. Okay po? The Java compiler will find the syntax rules and give some hints how to correct them. However, the compiler may not find logical or semantic errors. Tama po, ito po yung example natin kanina. Madaling hanapin ng compiler ng Java ang syntax errors, pero ang semantic errors hindi. Kasi aandar at aandar yung program kahit mali ito logically or merong logical or semantic errors. Aandar siya. Ang tanong, makukuha mo ba yung desired result? Yun ang hindi. Typically, programmers try to find and fix semantic problems by walking carefully through their programs. Testing the program using test data whose result is known is the trick. So, if you want to know, halimbawa, merong logical error, kung may logical or semantic error yung program mo, ang gawin mo, paandarin mo yung program, maglagay ka ng mga data na alam mo ang magiging sagot pag kinumpute mo na o yung magiging result. Gamitan mo ng mga data, paandarin ang program, gamitan ng mga data na alam mo yung dapat na result. Pag nakuha niya yung result mo sa mga 3 run ka ng iba't ibang data ang ginagamit, pero alam mo lahat ng result at tumama siya, ibig sabihin, somehow, semantically or logically, correct na yung iyong program. Sometimes, after multiple readings, a programmer may not be able to find the bug because the programmer may overlook the piece of the code that contains the bug and therefore may seek outside help. Ang bug po, ang ibig sabihin nito, errors in computing. So, errors yan sa program mo. If your program is properly formatted and you have used good names for identifiers, the person reading your program will have an easier time reading and debugging the program. Before you seek outside help, you should be prepared to explain what your program intended to do and answer questions raised by the person reading your program. So, ano po ang gagamitin natin para sa mga ganito? Use comments. The examination of your program by yourself, by another person, or a group of persons is called a walkthrough. A walkthrough is helpful for all phases of the software development process. Ano ba yung walkthrough? Again, pag sinabing walkthrough, iisa-isahin mo po yung linya or yung line ng iyong program, hahanapan mo. Titingnan mo kung tama bawat line. Kung may kulang ba o wala. Yun ang tinatawag na walkthrough. Kasi maaari po na hindi ninyo na wala siyang syntax error pero may semantic error. Kaya nga titingnan ninyo kung tama. Isa-isahin ninyo yon. Tsaka baka pag minsan may mga kulang kayong variables na ginamit, edi may error na kayo. Kaya kailangan isa-isahin ninyo. At yung kanina yung sinasabing kung may ibang magbabasa at mag-a-analyze or magdi-debug ng inyong program, mas madali kung meron kayong notes doon. So, that is a good use of comments. Kaya dapat naglalagay tayo lagi ng comments sa bawat part ng ating program para ini-explain kung anong ginagawa ng part ng program na yon. Makakatulong po yon para mapadali ang trabaho nung magde-debug or magme-maintain nung ginawa mong program. Next, more on assignment statements naman. Here are the 5 arithmetic operators natin. If you could still remember, the plus, the minus, asterisk, slash, and the mod or the percent. So, ano to? This is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and mod or modulus. Here we have the 5 compound operators. Yung plus equals, minus equals, asterisk equals, multiplication equals, and slash equals or divide equals, tapos modulus equals. Compound assignment statement lets you write simple assignment statements in a concise fashion by combining an arithmetic operator with an assignment operator. Consider the following simple assignment statement where x and y are both integer variables. So x equals x times y, semicolon. Using the compound operator asterisk equals, this statement can be written as x asterisk equal y. Ibig sabihin, kaya may asterisk equal, ibig sabihin, yun din, x din, i-multiply sa y. Equal siya sa x, tapos i-multiply siya sa y. Same number, same variable. In general, using the compound operator asterisk equal, you can rewrite the simple assignment statement like this. Say we have variable equals variable times expression, semicolon. Kung, syempre, pag minsan mahahaba yan. So, mapapaigsi nyo by this. Variable asterisk equals expression, semicolon. Similarly, pag sinabing variable equals variable plus expression, semicolon, it is equivalent to variable plus equals expression, semicolon. Kuha po? Very good. Note, any compound assignment statement can be converted into a simple assignment statement. However, a simple assignment statement may not be easily converted into a compound assignment statement. Let's say, let's have this simple assignment statement, x equals x times y plus z minus 5, semicolon. To write this statement as a compound assignment statement, the variable x must be a common factor in the right side, which is not the case. Therefore, you cannot immediately convert this statement into a compound assignment statement. In fact, the equivalent compound assignment statement is x asterisk equals y plus quantity z minus 5 divided by x. So, mas parang mahirap pa siya. So, dito ka na lang sa simple assignment statement. Okay, so, pag lang mas makakapagpaigsi o mas mas mapapadali or mapapasimple yung equation, tsaka nyo lang gagamitan ng compound assignment statement. Note, avoid this kind of compound expression kasi mahirap. In this slide, I have given you, pwede nyo nang basahin na lang to sa bahay. Simple assignment statement, tsaka yung compound assignment statement. Tulad nito, I equals I plus 5, magagawin na lang natin I plus equals 5. Okay? Same with the counter, equals counter plus 1, ganun din ang ginawa. Sum equals sum plus number, ganun din ang ginawa. Dito, amount equals amount times expression. Ito yung tinatawag nating arithmetic expression. So, madali lang siya dahil naka-grouping symbol. Ibig sabihin, parang one number lang yan. So, pwede natin gamitan yan. Amount asterisk equals interest plus 1. Okay? Dito, since is parang considered as one number itong sagot dito, yung result nito, so pwede na rin natin gamitan. Mas mapapaigsi yung ating statement. Mas mapapasimple at mas mapapaigsi. Okay, some of the programming examples. Marami nito. These programming examples, I want you to read in your PDF files. Meron doon. You may try to solve it on your own. And then, mag-compare kayo sa gawa ng isa't isa kung tama. So, that's your practice. So, for chapter summary natin, we have discussed the basic elements of a Java program. which includes the main method, reserved words, special symbols, identifiers, data types, expressions, the input and output sa lesson 2, statements sa chapter 3. And then, ang last lesson natin, yung to create a Java application program. Now, to create a Java application program, it is important to understand, ito na yung ating last lesson, syntax rules, semantic rules, how to manipulate strings and numbers, how to declare variables and name constants, how to receive input and display output, and the good programming style and form. And that's the end of chapter 2. I hope you have learned everything that we have discussed. Thank you for viewing and listening.